Hi friends, welcome to our discussion of R10.4, which is all about context, diction, and tone. This first video is going to be about context, so grab your guided notes and follow along. So, when we talk about context, what do we mean? Well, it is the use of words surrounding an unknown word to help determine the unknown word's meaning. So when we get to that super hard word and we say, what does that mean? We have to look at the clues around the hard word to figure it out. We're really actually good at this, so are you. So see if you can figure out in this little example here, what should go in each blank. I'm not even going to tell you. I bet you're going to figure it out. Well, you're a genius. How did you know? You probably figured out most Americans can speak only one language. Europeans, however, speak several. As a result, Europeans think Americans are unfriendly and unwilling to communicate with them. See, we're like mind readers already. So, there are 3 types of context clues, some hacks that can really help us figure out those words, because it's not always as easy as those little blanks in our example before. So the first hack is called definition, the second hack is called restatement, and the third hack is called contrast. Okay, so definition, they kind of tell you straight out. Restatement, they kind of give you some very similar words to help you along. And contrast, they tell you what the word is not. So then you can kind of figure out maybe what it is. All right, so now let's dive into definition. So grab your guided notes. Let's think about this hack for the definition context clue. It's when the author literally defines the unknown word for you. Sometimes we stop right at a hard word and we're like, oh, well, I don't know what that means. But if we would just read a tiny bit further, we would figure it out because the author has defined it for us. It looks like this. A dialect, what's a dialect? Is a form of speech from a specific region. So dialect, we might not know what that means, but if we read a little further, the author has defined it for us. Now we know. A dialect is a form of speech from a specific region. We figured it out. Often if we see a little verb to be there, so like is, are, were, the author might be about to tell us what the word means, so keep a lookout for that. Okay, next hack. Restatement. This is where a writer often chooses a more familiar word or words with the same meaning to make a difficult word more understandable. It looks like this. Ballet students appear so lithe. What's lithe? They are so limber and flexible. Okay, we might not know what lithe means, might be an unknown word for us, but we might know what flexible means, right? We might know that that means kind of bendy. So if we read a little bit further, the author has given us some clues with kind of a restatement of that difficult word with some simpler words. So now we know. Let's take a look at the hack contrast. It's almost the opposite of restatement. So it's where the author tells you an antonym or a word of opposite meaning to show you what the word is not. This can help us figure out the meaning of the unknown word. It looks like this. The gentleman was portly. What's portly? But his wife was thin. Okay. We know from that contrast word, that comma, but, that the author is telling us the opposite of what came before it, right? So the gentleman was portly, but in contrast, opposite of, his wife was thin. So we know, we might not know what portly means, but we know it's the opposite of thin. So what's the opposite of thin? Well, thin, thin is kind of skinny, right? The opposite of thin, kind of chunky. So now we know that portly means the opposite of thin. It means kind of chunky. We nailed it. Great work, friends. So now pause here and then let's take a look back at our notes and then see if we can solve some questions on our own. Here they are. We are looking for the answers to these 3 questions. You try and then come right back. Pause it. Okay, let's talk about the answers. The answer to number 1 is B, hold together. The answer to number 2 is A, waterfall. And the answer to number 3 is A, criticized. In the first question, I hope you used the hack definition. Straight out told you. In the second question, I hope you used the hack restatement, where you figured out, well, I don't maybe know what a cataract is, but then they tell me right after a similar word is waterfall. Great. And then in number 3, I hope you used the hack contrast, because we see that comma but, and then we figured out the opposite of praise is deprecated, helped us figure out that our word means criticized. Y'all are absolutely nailing it. Great job. I'll see you soon.